talk about session 19 of my Dungeons and Dragons campaign and give me your thoughts on the characters and the drama that we're currently facing as we wrap up the campaign 3.
Based on these summaries alone, Session 19 feels very much like a calm before the storm chapter. It doesn't read like a session focused on combat or major victories. Instead, it feels like a session about relationships, responsibilities, and positioning the pieces for the final act of Campaign 3. What stands out most to me is Anju. Earlier in the campaign, it sounds like Anju has often had strong personalities around her: Alejandro, Ozar, Tamisa, and others. Now she's being forced to stand on her own. Leadership is very different when advisors and friends are absent. The fact that the session begins with her waking to a quiet estate is telling. Quiet can be comforting, but for rulers, it can also be lonely. Then there is Ares. His reunion with family may seem like a smaller moment compared to political intrigue or looming threats, but emotionally, it may be one of the most important scenes in the session. Campaigns often spend so much time on adventure that players forget what the characters are fighting for. Family reunions remind everyone what is at stake. If danger is approaching, that reunion could become even more meaningful in hindsight. The Lycos warning is the part that catches my attention most from a storytelling perspective. Animals in fantasy stories often sense things before people do. The fountain feels symbolic. Fountains are usually associated with life, purity, prosperity, and civilization. If something is wrong there, it suggests corruption reaching into the heart of the estate itself. The fact that the warning leads toward the wet pass tells me the mystery is probably larger than a single location. On Alejandro's side of the story, I see a very different arc. While Anju is dealing with responsibility, Alejandro is dealing with growth. He is learning how the wider world works. Chromehawk exposes him to politics, commerce, guilds, rivalries, and information networks. His interactions with Marshana are especially interesting because they challenge assumptions. Sometimes we think we know someone until we spend extended time with them. Learning how little they truly share can be just as important as learning what they have in common. The Leland storyline also feels significant. Alejandro offering him a position at the estate shows leadership emerging in Alejandro as well. He's no longer just reacting to events. He's actively recruiting people and shaping the future. What I find fascinating is that both Anju and Alejandro are becoming leaders, but in completely different ways. Anju's story is about bearing responsibility. Alejandro's story is about building networks. Those are two very different forms of power. As Campaign 3 approaches its conclusion, the drama I see isn't just, can the heroes defeat the threat? The drama is, can Anju carry the burden of leadership? Can Alejandro navigate increasingly complicated political relationships? Will the people they've gathered around them remain loyal? What exactly is threatening the estate and the wet pass? How will Ares' family connections influence future events? What role will Azar and Tamisa play when they return? The session feels less like a climax and more like the final deep breath before one. If I were sitting at the table, the character I would be watching most closely right now would actually be Anju. The session seems designed to isolate her, test her judgment, and force her to act without relying on the others. That usually means the Dungeon Master is preparing a major character-defining moment. I'm curious, as the players, who do you feel has changed the most over Campaign 3? Anju, Alejandro, Azar, Tamisa, or Ares? Sometimes the player's answer to that question reveals what the campaign has really been about.
Very interesting. Obviously, I'm not going to reveal that.